silence for those names inscribed on the memorial and for all who have given the last full measure. Can you please rise? Please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Delaware National Guard, Joint Honor Guard, and National Anthem sung by Army Specialist Carter Stephan. Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing. I now ask for the chaplain, Andrew Weiner, to come forward to deliver our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you give us life and breath. We gather here to honor those who have served our nation and gave their last full measure. They never made it home to family and friends. Be with their families especially. Give them comfort and strength. Generation after generation, the fallen have preserved our liberty. Remind us again that liberty is not free, but it is of great cost. We honor our fallen service today. Almighty, meet us here. You are the author of life and freedom. Amen.
Thank you, chaplain. Please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests in the audience. Please stand when recognized. The 46th President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden. Acknowledgements from our Honorable Governor, Matthew Myers, during his absence and his regret. The Honorable Lieutenant Governor Carl Evans Gay. The Honorable U.S. Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester. The Honorable U.S. Representative Sarah McBride. The Honorable former U.S. Senator Tom Carper. The Honorable Secretary of State Patabanda Sanchez. The Honorable Delaware Attorney General Kathleen Jennings. The Honorable Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro. The Honorable Delaware Auditor of Accounts Lydia York. Adjutant Major General James Benson. President pro tempore of the Delaware State Senate, Senator Dave Scola. State Representative and Chair of the House of Veterans Affairs Committee, nominee Jawoka. Representatives and Senators of the Delaware General Assembly. Executive Director of the Delaware River and Bay Authority, Tom Cook. Executive Director of the Wilmington VA Medical Center, Vamiz Potlori. Acting Director of the Office of Veterans Services, Dennis Lennon. Delaware Commissioner of Veterans Affairs. I have to my left my Vice Chair, Doug Hudson. Also, Commissioner McGuire, Commissioner Rambo, Commissioner Espino, Commissioner Schroeder, and Commissioner Harwood. I don't see it. Okay. The Delaware River and Bay Authority Commissioners. And last but not least, our Gold Star families. We extend our thanks to all other officials, service members, veteran service organizations, family members, and all veterans in attendance who were not formally recognized. It is now time for our Memorial Day messages. At this time, please welcome former U.S. Senator Tom Carper.
Good morning. How are you doing? Great to be with all of you today. Martha and I are delighted that you're here. We're delighted that we are here. We've been coming here for, some of us have been coming here for quite a while, Mr. President, and it's glad we're able to make it, and delighted that you're all able to make it as well. To all of our elected officials that lead our state, our county, help lead our country, Lisa Blunt Rochester, whose office is in 513 Hart, my old office in the United States. Joe, her office, she sits at my old desk. And it looks a lot better. I must say. But it's great to be here with all of you. I want to start off with some thank yous, if I may. I want to thank the people of Delaware for welcoming me here. Gosh, over 50 years ago, I'd been a naval flight officer in the Vietnam War, 3 tours, and came back home to the U.S. and made my way to Delaware. And got an MBA at the University of Delaware. Thank God for the GI Bill. Anybody here use the GI Bill? Anybody here use the GI Bill? Let's hear it for the GI Bill. This guy right up here probably did more than anybody I know to make sure we have a terrific GI Bill. But thank you for that GI Bill. Thank you for giving me the privilege to serve as your state treasurer, as your congressman, as your governor, and as your United States senator. What a privilege it has been. I want to. My job is to sort of like to introduce the 46th president of the United States. Ever try to introduce somebody that doesn't need an introduction? Well, at this audience with these people and all of you here today, this particular fellow doesn't need an introduction. My guess is that all of us could come up here and everybody could help give that introduction. But I think it falls on me to do that today. Before I do that, I want to take a minute, if I can, and share with you. Not everybody knows how we ended up with Memorial Day. In fact, my guess is most of us don't. And I'm just going to take, before I introduce President Biden, I'm going to take just a minute or two and just kind of tell us where Memorial Day came from. How do we end up with Memorial Day in this country? A fellow named Frederick Douglass, one of the early giants in the history of our country, believed that Decoration Day, some of you may remember Decoration Day, which was the original name for Memorial Day, was our nation's most significant holiday. On May 30th, 1871, the 4th annual observance of Decoration Day, he honored the unknown Union soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery who died in the Civil War. Douglass spoke that day of his concern that with the passage of time, the lives of 400,000 Union soldiers who died in that war, and even the meaning of the war itself, might be forgotten. He asked that day a question. He said, what should we remember them for? He asked that question not once but twice. What should we remember them for? And then he answered his own question. He replied, not once but twice. They died for their country. They died for their country. In truth, they fought to end the tyranny of slavery and to build a nation that embodied hope of freedom and self-government throughout the world. Douglass devoted the remainder of his time to ensuring that these men did not die in vain. Gradually, Decoration Day assumed a lasting place in the calendar of national celebrations in America. In 1890, all of the United States had officially adopted it, and in the aftermath of World War I, it came to encompass the dead of all American wars. In 1967, Congress changed the name of this holiday to Memorial Day, 1967. They moved its day from May 30th to the last Monday in the month of May. And Memorial Day came to be celebrated by many as it came to be celebrated as the start of summer. And came to be celebrated as a holiday to spend at the beach, rather than to reflect on history or decorate the graves or honor the dead. If Douglass were alive today, he would probably be shocked, maybe appalled, by the dissension and rancor that characterizes so much of the public discourse that takes place in our nation's capital and across America. Most likely, he would stop and remind us to lower our voices and listen instead to the voices of those who laid down their lives so that we might have a better life. The sacrifice of those who have served us in uniform literally did save our nation. They literally did save our union. And by our presence here today and in countless other gatherings across America, we make clear that we still understand and embrace that truth. And now for a few words about our 46th President of the United States, Delaware's Joe Biden. And again, many people in the audience they could stand up here and do this by heart. And we know him for so long and so well. So I'm not going to dwell at length about his bio. But I do want to tell you three really quick stories that I think say a lot more about him than any recitation of his bio. First of all, a bipartisan infrastructure bill. Joe Biden had been president for like a week. And he called me on the phone in Washington and said, Tommy, I want you to come over to my office. I want you to come over to my office this week in the Oval Office, and I want you to bring a couple of Democrats, a couple of Republicans from your Committee on Environment and Public Works, and I want us to figure out how we're going to not just talk about an infrastructure bill, an infrastructure program for our country, but actually build one. And 6 days later, I was in his office, and I had with me Shelley Capito, Republican from West Virginia, and several others, Ben Cardin from Maryland, and others. And we sat there with the president. And I'll never forget that day. My guess is you won't either, Mr. President. And what he said to us that day is he said, we got to stop just talking about rebuilding our infrastructure, our roads, our highways, our bridges, our airports, our railroads, ports. We got to actually do it. And he said, I want you to, looking at us as served on the Environment and Public Works, I want you to report out a committee, a bill by Memorial Day. I want you to report out to the Senate a bill by Memorial Day. And we said, yes, sir. And we talked for it a little bit longer and then left. And I remember standing outside of your office and somebody said to me, who's going to do this? And I said, we are. By the end of that summer, we actually took up on the Senate floor and the House floor the biggest infrastructure bill ever in the history of the history of our country. And before Thanksgiving, President Joe Biden put his name on that legislation, and we were off and running. But it took his leadership, his insistence that we have not just Democrats in the room, but Republicans as well. Not just the House, but the Senate. And that's what we did. And it led us to the biggest infrastructure bill ever and helped launch one of the strongest economic recoveries in the history of our country. That's one story I wanted to share with you. Another story I want to share with you deals with Ukraine. Anybody here ever been to Ukraine? I know some have. Some have actually been to Ukraine. And President Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, wonderful human being, was speaking a couple of months ago to a combined session of the Senate. And we all gathered in the old Senate chamber, and it was really packed, really crowded, and President Zelensky was introduced. And I sat in the audience, like right where you're sitting, that far away, and he was up here, was introduced to speak and spoke. I was wearing that day, as I am today, a lapel pin that combines the U.S. flag and the Ukrainian flag. And I noticed in the course of his remarks, his eyes kept coming back to my lapel pin, my flag pin. And when he finished speaking, huge audience, Democrats, Republicans on the House and Senate, and a great applause. I thought it would never end. And when he finished, the event finished, he didn't just leave. He literally walked over to where I was standing. And I stood up, and I said, Mr. President, you are a hero. To President Zelensky, I said, you are a hero. He took his hand, I'll never forget it. He put it right on this lapel pin that has the Ukrainian flag and the American flag. He put it right there. And he said, no, he said, you are our heroes. And he said, and President Biden is the biggest hero of them all. In the Ukraine, we love him, we love him, we love him. One last quick story, and I'll pass the baton. Martha and I have a couple of boys, and the youngest one is Ben. They grew up in public schools here in Delaware and turned out pretty well. And Ben got in, couldn't get it. He was waitlisted at the University of Delaware. That's a joke. But he ended up getting into William and Mary. And we were driving down to William and Mary to help him move into his dorm as a freshman at William and Mary. And as we're driving down with the car that day with Ben and Martha and myself, I don't think Christopher was with us that day, but we're driving down and the phone rang. And it was a time when Barack Obama was the nominee, going to be the nominee of the Democrats for president, and he was trying to figure out who to make his running mate. And there was a lot of speculation that it might be Evan Bayh, it might be this person, it might be Joe Biden. And we were expected to hear, literally that day, it was a Saturday, we were literally expected to hear that day who Barack was going to choose as his running mate. And the phone rang, and on the phone was Joe Biden. And I said to him, I said, are you going to be the vice president? He said, no, I'm not calling about that. I said, well, what are you calling about? He said, I called to talk to Ben. Really? Ben, who was just graduating from high school and just starting college and moving into his dorm for the first time. He said, I'm calling to talk to Ben. I said, Ben Carper? And he said, yes, put him on the phone. So I put him on the phone, and as it turned out, Joe Biden wasn't calling to say that he had made the list, he was going to be the vice presidential candidate, or he wasn't, or was going to fight, but we'll find out the next day. He was calling to talk to Ben Carper, as Ben was ready to set off in his next adventure to be a freshman and later on to go off to do amazing things with his life. I thought to myself, how many sitting senators who are going to someday be vice president and president would call and ask to talk to Ben Carper or any Ben or any other kid who's going to college, just to give them advice and wish them well. And I will never forget that. I will never forget that. And I would just suggest if that were your kid, your son or daughter, you would not forget it either. Let me maybe do one more thing if I can. Someone gave me, Joe, I don't know if, maybe it was Hunter over here gave it to me, but gave me some words that said, whatever you say, don't forget to say this about Joe Biden. A visionary, a respected leader around the world, a compassionate man who was interested in everyday people. All right. I think, Martha, what did I forget? Nothing? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for me. And with that, with me, where's Ronnie? Ronnie? Where's Ronnie? Ronnie, where are you, buddy? All right, is this the time to introduce the 46th President of the United States, Delaware's Joe Biden? Let's hear it on your feet. Let me hear you. Put it on you. Woo! Glad you're home. Thank you. No, come on, you can do better than that. Go on. Knock it out of the park.
Thank you very much. The greatest honor of my life has been for 4 years being the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. The fact is that I don't think if I had come from any other state that would have happened. But in Delaware, everybody knows everybody. And it's important. It's important because, you know, we had that expression for the longest time. We do things the Delaware way. The Delaware way. Members of the House and Senate know, Democrat or Republican. They've learned to work together for the benefit of Delaware. Now remember, Tommy, we've been coming here for decades. First time I was here, I was reminded of that quote from R.G. Ingersoll, who said, when the will defies fear, when duty throws the gauntlet down to fate, when they shun compromise with death, that's heroism. I remember thinking that day, the first time. Thinking about my uncles in World War II, thinking about people I knew. Think about all the people who had laid down their lives. And ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be with so many friends on this solemn occasion. Tommy, Kyle, Lisa, Sarah, Nolan, and you're all outstanding leaders and proud Delawareans. And Chaplain, thank you for your invocation. And I want to acknowledge the keynote speaker today, a pathbreaker and a patriot, Chief Warrant Officer Ernestine Epps. Ernestine, thank you. Thank you for being willing to do this. I'm looking forward to hearing you. Folks, every year we come together to remember the brave women and men who gave their all for this nation, or as Lincoln called it, the last full measure of devotion. That's what it was, the last full measure of devotion. They laid down their lives so we could live our lives in peace, and maybe the most important word, with possibilities. And I know I speak for everyone here, and when I say we remember them every single day, not just this day, but every day, the people assembled under this tent. Remember them every day. We come together to remember the families that are left behind, the hearts that still carry the weight of their absence, the ache that never fully goes away. We come together to remember the debt we owe to the American military. The military is the solid spine, the spine of our nation. Our troops, our veterans, our military families, and our Gold Star families in particular. Only around 1% of all Americans defend 99% of us. 1%. Just 1% of Americans risk the ultimate sacrifice. We owe them so much more than we can ever repay them. We have many obligations as a nation, but only one truly sacred obligation. Sacred obligation. That's to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them when their families when they come home and when they don't come home. It's a sacred obligation. I know for many of you, Memorial Day, like for us, is deeply personal. For the Bidens, this day is the 10th anniversary of the loss of my son, Bo, who spent a year in Iraq. And to be honest, it's a hard day. His son and I, Hunter, who's here in the crowd, I don't know where you're sitting, Hunter, but all the way in the back there. His daddy came to this event with me about the same age when he started. He just graduated from high school, heading off to college. And you know, it's being with all of you, but quite frankly, makes things a little bit easier. It really does. So thank you for allowing me to grieve with you. Some of you knew my son, Bo. He served in the Delaware National Guard, including a year in Iraq. Remember, I got a phone call. I was in Washington. Dad, what are you doing Friday? I said, what do you need? And he said, I want you to pin my bars on. I said, pin your bars on? You have 2 kids? Dad, somebody's got to do this, Dad. Proudest day of his life was putting that uniform on. That's not a joke. That's not hyperbole. That's real. And you know, it's one of the proudest things I ever did, pinning his bars on him. And it means so much to our family at the headquarters of the Delaware National Guard has been renamed after Bo. His legacy lives on. His children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, like those you lost, will be remembered. They'll remember who he was. And just like the legacy of all our fallen heroes lives on, they live on in us. And they live on in the strength and freedom of our nation. That sounds like hyperbole, but it's real. It's literal. So everyone who came here today to grieve with grief in your heart, please know you're not alone. You'll never be alone. and your loved one will never be forgotten. Period. My friends, Memorial Day is about something profound. Our politics have become so divided and so bitter. All the years I've been doing this, I never thought we'd get to this point, but we are. Our troops don't wear a uniform that says, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. It says, I'm an American. I'm an American. That's who I am. I'm serious about this. I'm not joking. And folks, our politics has become, as I said, so divided. They wear the uniform of the United States of America. The only nation in the world, literally, not free, the only nation in the world founded on an idea. An idea. Every nation was founded on geography, ethnicity, some unifying principle, but not an idea. The idea of America was founded on, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We mean it. That's who we are. That's what makes America the most unique nation in the world, literally, not figuratively. In fact, folks, you know, for generation after generation, the profound idea has been defended by ordinary citizens who stepped up and answered the call. Because of them, American democracy has endured for nearly 250 years. Every generation has to fight to maintain that democracy. Every time, every generation. Because of them, our government is still of the people, by the people, and for the people. They are we, and we are still free. And now, we must make sure that sacrifice has never been in vain. Let me close with this. The women and men we honor today are no longer with us, but you can still hear their echoes. Literally, can't you, if you lost anybody? You can hear their echoes, the echoes of their voices. They're asking, what will we do? We who are alive, we who remain. They're not asking us to risk our lives. They're asking us to stay true to what America stands for. They're not asking us to do their jobs. They're asking us to do our job, to protect our nation in our time, now, to defend democracy, be part of something bigger than ourselves. So today, let's renew our pledge to honor our heroes. I mean this sincerely. Renew our pledge to honor our heroes. Think of what they did. Think what they'd be doing if they were standing here today with us. Not only with our words, with our deeds. To care for their families. To support our veterans. With more, not less. I get really angry when I hear about veterans are seeking too much. They're not enough. That's why I wrote the legislation relating to Gold Star families and the rest. It's an obligation we have. It's a matter of honor. Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, to make sure our democracy always lives up to their bravery. To their bravery. And I want to thank you very much, and I want to recognize the guy who's brand new to all this. He's only a little over 100 years old. But I tell you what, man, every time I come, I love seeing him because he always pats me on the face and gives me a kiss. Sir, thank you for all you've done. Your generation and every generation since then. And folks, and I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, particularly to the Gold Star families. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The country owes you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Carper and President Biden. At this time, please welcome Lieutenant Governor Kyle Evans Gay.
Thank you, sir. Well, good morning, and I just, not scripted, we all are so pleased to have you here, sir. And for your sacrifice in serving all of those years in public service, for everything you have accomplished on our behalf, and for never giving up on Delaware, our nation, so thank you. It is an absolute honor to be assembled here with you today, in particular to our commission, all of our honored members, my state colleagues, and members of the General Assembly, in particular to those who are serving on our Joint Finance Committee and who could not be here today. I know they are with us in spirit doing the good work that we do every day. And to many who are gathered here today, welcome back. This ceremony of remembrance has been for us, for many of us, an important annual touch point. A time and a place to remember, yes, but also to rededicate, refocus, recommit to the work that we do every day with the humble hope that it honors the sacrifices of those who have given everything so that we may be free. For those joining us for the first time, welcome, and we hope to see you back. May you too become connected to this place, to this community, and to our shared obligation and pledge to be good and true stewards of this republic for whom some gave all. To our active military members here today and to our veterans, thank you. We know that as we honor our fallen today, the sacrifices of service are manyfold, and that the loss of those who you served with, who you protected, and who protected you creates invisible chasms that can be difficult to describe or explain to anyone who has not walked in your shoes. Your dedication to remembering our fallen is a constant reminder that we all must never forget. And to our Gold Star mothers and families, it's hard to find the words. So instead, I'd like to share with you a brief story that better explains how I feel today. Last weekend, I was standing with Judy at our Delaware Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Bear. A young group of scouts came up to us and introduced themselves. One noticed Judy's name tag and asked if she worked for the government. No, she explained, I'm here because I lost my son, who served our country with honor. And then without hesitation, these young men, boys really, surrounded Judy and they hugged her. Well, we're all those scouts today, and we are surrounding you with the love that you deserve. We stand with you today and every day. Because even when Memorial Day ceremonies conclude, our duty to the fallen does not. We continue honoring them by telling their stories, teaching their values, and upholding the promises they fought so hard to protect. President John F. Kennedy once said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter the words, but to live by them. We honor our fallen by living lives worthy of their sacrifice, striving to uphold the standard of service they set in the roles we are privileged to hold. And we honor the fallen by telling their stories. These past few weeks, as my children have been counting down the final days until summer arrives, they have also noticed the fields of flags as I shuttle them from one activity to the next. Questions about those fields have given me the opportunity to be that storyteller, to sustain the memories of those we have lost, and to honor the service of those I know and love. To tell them about their uncles and their grandfather who enlisted in the armed services as young men, only to return aged beyond their years. To share the honor I felt as a young attorney, walking alongside an attorney general who not only served our country, but whose work and advocacy protected children here at home. To bring them to places like this memorial, to read the names on the walls behind us so that they can begin to understand the gravity of all that has been sacrificed. This solemn day is a powerful reminder that freedom has a hefty cost. Let us all commit to telling the stories, to showing our gratitude, and to living lives worthy of the sacrifices that have been made. Thank you.
Thank you. I need to, I guess, backtrack. When I was mentioning our representatives, I left out one person, and that is the mayor of Wilmington, John Carney. All gave some, and some gave all. At this time, I lost my thought. Sorry to my heart. At this time, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Thank you, Commissioner Lewis. Someone just said, "Let me be blunt." I heard you. Protocol having been established, I want to start off by thanking the Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, the Delaware River and Bay Authority, and the Delaware Office of Veterans Services for again hosting an incredible event. Today is even more special. The speeches that we have heard, the presence of all of you, it is truly an honor to be here. And I also want to extend my deep gratitude to President Joe Biden for your years of service, and especially for being here on a day that I know is so important to you and your family, and to have your grandson Hunt here as well, Bo's son. One of the things that was not mentioned is your commitment in ensuring that the PAC Act, like not just thinking about veterans, but living up to the ideals, the promises that we made. I feel it was and Senator Carper, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was one of the largest investments ever made for our veterans. And so please, the PAC Act, this president did that. President Joe Biden, along with the House and the Senate. And I'm also pleased to join my predecessor and my good friend, Senator Tom Carper. I'm glad you started off with Frederick Douglass and Decoration Day, because I think a lot of times we do things routinely, but we don't really know why we did them. And so to remind us that it was at a time when our country was tearing apart, that for our veterans we came together. And so thank you so much for your service. To our Lieutenant Governor, Kyle, what a beautiful, beautiful tribute you gave as well in representing our governor in our state. And to all of the incredible elected officials, I'm proud to be here with our Congresswoman Sarah McBride, and also representing Senator Chris Coons in his absence as well. Thank you to all of the leaders of our state, all of the veterans, the service members, the families, and our community at large. Thank you for joining us. I am reminded that soon we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country. 250 years. 250 years. Memorial Day calls to us, it calls upon us to remember those who fought for liberty, for freedom, and for justice and for what it means. It is a day to recommit to those values and to pledge ourselves to service in the memory of those who gave all. Memorial Day is also a day of reflection, and it's also a day of gratitude to the families, especially the Gold Star families. Gratitude for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And today we know there are so many stories up and down this state throughout the years, the 250 years. Whether it is Private First Class Frank J. Cox, a Wilmington resident who lost his life in 1943 during the invasion of mainland Italy in World War II, or SP5 Richard Dennison of Sussex County, who lost his life in 1971 when a Chinook collided with a Republic of Korea plane in Vietnam. Like Matthew Flacco, a Newark resident and a Navy soldier specializing in weather for the Department of Defense, who lost his life on September 11th during the attack on the Pentagon. And like Elizabeth Lockney, a Newcastle resident and graduate of the Naval Tech Explosive Ordnance Disposal School. Remember Elizabeth. Many of you remember was in 2007 when a car bombing, 20 days before she was meant to come home, she perished in a tour in Iraq. We hold Frank and Richard and Matthew and all of those who gave their lives in service in our hearts today, and the countless stories up and down this state. We hold our Gold Star families, our Gold Star mothers in our hearts, the mothers, the fathers, the husbands, wives, daughters, sons, friends, who gave their lives for the sake of liberty and freedom. We give you our thanks, we give you our love. I also give the Biden family our love on the loss of one of the most beautiful and brilliant service members and public servants in this state. I remember as I was, after I lost my husband, Bo called me in the hospital. The president called me in the hospital. And I know President Biden says this to families like he said to me, that there will come a time when the mention of the person's name will bring a smile to your face before it brings a tear to your eye. We thank you. We thank Bo. We thank your family. I began by talking about the fraying and the tearing of a country. Well, the very fabric of America is stitched together by the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our homeland. Every state, yes, the very fabric. Every state, county, and community across our great nation is made safer by their sacrifice and by the freedoms they fought for. And those freedoms extend not just to America, but around the world. So on this Memorial Day, as we put our hand on our heart, or as we salute these decorations, let us remember, let us reflect, and let us recommit to living the legacy that they leave behind. Thank you.
At this time, please welcome U.S. Representative Sarah McBride.
Good morning, everyone. Commissioner Lewis, and to all of the commissioners and every office, every Delawarean who made today possible, thank you very much for bringing us together. Can we give them another round of applause for always organizing such a powerful, powerful ceremony? It is an honor to join you all today as your new representative in Congress. While I have joined for this ceremony before alongside my former colleagues in the Delaware General Assembly. It is a privilege to be before you all today representing the greatest state in the Union in Congress and to have the privilege of speaking before you today. It's a privilege to join so many friends. General Vavala, General Burton, thank you for your service. Mr. President, thank you for joining us today, for setting the bar in public service for Delawareans. I woke up today recognizing that this week is a solemn week. This ceremony is a solemn ceremony. But my heart was particularly heavy as I woke up and realized what you knew, which is that today is the 10th year since we lost Major Beau Biden to cancer. A cancer that many of us believe he developed because of the toxic burn pits in Iraq that he was exposed to during his service and his bravery overseas. My heart was heavy as someone who learned from Beau, who worked from Beau, who was mentored by Beau, whose service today is possible because of Beau. And I hope that the love that you feel today from all of us, the fact that we feel just a fraction of the sorrow that I know you and Hunt feel today, that the entire Biden family feels today, I hope that carries you forward today and every day. Because we, Mr. President, we know what you have told many of us when talking about our relationships with Beau and sharing with us that you believe that Beau is proud of us. We know that Beau is proud of you. And we are grateful to you for raising a son of such dignity and grace, goodness, and sacrifice, someone like Beau. And Mr. President, you have the unenviable moniker of a parent who has had to bury a child. It's a responsibility that you share with the Gold Star families who we honor today. And to all of the Gold Star families, you carry with you the courage of those left behind. Please know that your loved one's service, your loved one's bravery lives on in you. They live on in you. They live on in the legacies that they leave behind in our communities, in our values, and in every act of freedom that those of us here under this tent and millions beyond exercise every single day because of their service and because of their sacrifice. In so many ways, Delaware understands that service and sacrifice more deeply than perhaps any other state, because we have a larger percentage of veterans in Delaware than many other states. Because of the valor of the service members, the veterans, our National Guard that is on full display here in Delaware and across the country. Because of the solemn responsibilities that our service members at the Dover Air Force Base perform all too often with the dignified transfer. Delaware understands that service and sacrifice better than most. And it is why all of us are here. Because that service here in Delaware, it runs deep. And it runs through every single person who is here who served their nation. Individuals like retired Lieutenant Ray Fermani, someone who I first met through General Vavala. Ray, your presence here is more than just symbolic. It is living history. And it reminds us of a truth that we cannot forget as we gather here at Memorial Day, to honor those who gave their last full measure of devotion to this nation. You remind us that our freedom is not free. Your service was in defense of democracy. It was in defense of the values that make this nation great. And as we lose more and more of the greatest generation. As those with a living memory of the lessons learned as you took on tyranny and defended democracy for the 20th century. You remind us that history is not cumulative. Like freedom, it's not something that we inherit passively. It's something we must actively learn and protect and pass forward. It's our job in this moment to learn from you, Ray, to learn from those remaining members of the greatest generation, the lessons that they fought for and in many cases died for. It's the lessons of veterans, the tolls of war, and the urgency for peace and democracy that we inherit and we must live and embody every day. And that's what Memorial Day demands of every elected official here. For decades, Senator Tom Carper made Delaware's veterans a cornerstone of his public service. He did it not only because of his experience as a service member and as a veteran, but because he understands what President Biden talked to, that we as a nation and as elected officials have one truly sacred promise. He didn't just talk about that support, he delivered it. And now, as he has passed the baton to leaders who are sitting here and before me, all of us understand that we must uphold his legacy with the same determination and purpose. As your new member of Congress, know that constituent services are at the heart of my office. That's not a slogan, it's a promise. And if you are a veteran or a family member of one and you need help with benefits or care or navigating the system, know that our office is here for you. And I mean it. Do not hesitate to reach out. We will answer your call because we understand that we must be there for those who have answered the call to serve this nation. President Lincoln once charged us, quote, "Any nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure." So let us remember that charge. Let us remember the sacrifice of those who are no longer with us and the service of those who we are privileged to see before us today. Let us honor, and above all, let us honor that service with action. May God bless the fallen, may God bless their families, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Blunt Rochester, and thank you, U.S. Representative Sarah McBride, for those honest words. Thank you. At this time, we're going to welcome the chair of the Senate House Veterans Affairs Committee, Representative nominee Jawoka.
Good morning, everyone. I would be remiss if I didn't do what everyone else did, which is to thank our president for his service. And like many of you, when I pulled up this morning, I said, wow, this parking lot's full. And the first thing I thought, I said, the president's coming. That's the first thing I thought. And true to behold, he's here. And it's great to have him here. His spirit, his inspiration really reminds us what this was about, because it's about us taking the time and reflecting. And as elected officials, we have an obligation to uphold this duty to remember, to not forget. So I thank Mr. President for being here, and I thank my neighbor, former Senator Carper, for all his service and just being true stewards, not only at events like this, but every day in their service, being stewards for veterans and for Gold Star families and for those who serve their nation and serving those with distinction. I would be remiss again, and anytime I'm given the privilege to address this body, I always like to thank a gentleman who was here, former Representative, former General Earl Jakes. Former Representative Jakes was the speaker who was scheduled to speak on behalf of the House of Representatives as the veteran chair. And he graciously afforded me that opportunity when he didn't have to. He gave me the opportunity to speak. And thankfully, I think, except for a few times I was away, I've been here ever since. So I thank the representative for allowing me this opportunity. I wrote a poem, and I edited the very poem, but it was called Memorial Day and the importance of remembrance. And it's just reminding us of why we're here today. It's days like today, it's moments like this, when our country is at its strongest, unified in its mission, rooted in its tradition, patriotism unwavering, holding true, honoring those most deserving, bravery beyond words, for our freedoms they were fighting to preserve. This day is more than parades or old glory flying or wreaths laid upon graves. This is the day for our nation, remembering the sacrifices that were made. When you really remember the legacy and tradition, Memorial Day is not just one day, it's every day. It makes a difference in the way that you're living. It's a daily honor, a tribute to what has been given. Shine our light on those dark days, those unspeakable moments, those known, those written down in history for defending our land of the brave, to those excluded from history's page. We say today that we remember. We remember our privates. We remember our generals. We remember the amazing feats and heroics of war. We remember. We remember those that were performed on every continent, land, sea, air, or shore. We remember. We remember because this is the love of remembrance. As a nation, we remember. We remember our children, our mothers, fathers, grandmothers. We remember our soldiers because this is the love of remembrance. We remember the how and the why. This is the love that's in our every breath, in our every step, placing us on the path, connecting us, our present, to our past, creating strong bonds between generations, not just remembering, but refusing to forget. It's that strength of our nation, remembering our lost troops, remembering the uncomfortable truth. Our freedoms have never been free. Always paid for by those who believe, those who serve. We remember those who were overwhelmed with their struggles from PTSD. We remember the ones who served overseas, and many moons later they got sick from toxic burn pits that we never knew exist. See, freedom isn't free. A strong nation will always build upon its strengths. So today we remember and we honor those soldiers, those men and women who carried on, who made our nation strong. We remember. We remember those unforgettable moments for our families, the moments of strength for our nation. Forever grateful, our nation forever changed. Families forever changed. A nation forever changed. The battles and conflicts, those known and unknown, those who made it back beneath flag-draped coffins. We remember. Those who never returned home, we remember. Remember those Medal of Honor winners, the Purple Heart distinctions, to those never fully acknowledged for their missions, we remember. The known and the unknown stories of glory, truly the heart of our nation. To our Gold Star families, we thank you. We thank you for the weight that your family carries for our nation. We thank you, and with you, we remember. Remembering our nation's darkest hours, your dedication, your commitment, your valor, missions fulfilled through anguish, a family's unspeakable pain, a nation forever changed. A forever grateful nation, a world forever changed. We are forever grateful for your memory, your memory will never be forsaken. Through remembering, this is how we make a better world, a better nation. This is the importance of remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Jawoka. It's an honor for me to introduce our keynote speaker, Command Chief Warrant Officer Ernestine Epps, a trailblazer in the Delaware Army National Guard. She made history, both the first female to achieve the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 5 and the first female African-American Command Chief Warrant Officer. Rising from foster care and early service in the United States Marine Corps, she joined the Delaware National Guard in 1999 and advanced through the warrant officer ranks after 2006. She holds an impressive educational credentials, including master's and bachelor's degrees from Wilmington University, alongside extensive military education. Her distinguished service is recognized through numerous decorations, including the Defense Meritorious Service Medal and multiple Army Meritorious Service Medals. I have the privilege of presenting Command Chief Warrant Officer Ernestine Epps.
Good morning. I know protocol has been established, but I want to establish it again. President, thank you so much. Thank you for your service to our nation, and my family is praying for you. I had the privilege of serving with them. Thank you. Lieutenant Governor Kyle Evans-Gay, former Senator Tom Carper, Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester, Congresswoman Sarah McBride, Major General James Benson, our Gold Star families, military leadership, elected officials, service members, and friends, good morning. I am Chief Warrant Officer 5 Ernestine Epps, and I am the Command Chief Warrant Officer for the Delaware Army National Guard. And I have been to this event many times, sometimes in the back of the room, but today it is my profound honor to be your keynote speaker. I am gratefully thankful. Mic check, can you hear me in the back? Because somebody just put up, perfect, awesome. Now, if some point you stop hearing me because I drift away, just wave your hand. Now, I will forget and I will wave back at you, but I will eventually remember and I will speak into the mic. Also, before I begin, I'd like to know who I'm speaking to. So this is a roll call of sorts, and it includes active, veterans, National Guard, and reservists. So first, is there any Air Force here in this house? Oh God, let's do it again. Is there any Air Force here in the house? Perfect, I knew you guys would wake up. What about the Army, are you here? I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. Navy, is there any Navy here? Perfect. I'm gonna hold on to my hat for the next one. Is there any Marines here? I knew it. Coast Guard, and our last sister service, the Space Force. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the various law enforcement agencies here in attendance, so thank you so very much for your sacrifice and your commitment to us. I won't go back into the definition of Decoration Day changing into Memorial Day, but what I will say is that Memorial Day means something different for me today than it did 30 years ago when I joined the service. Now, when I visit the Bear National Cemetery or even Arlington National Cemetery, I can locate the headstones of friends and family members I've had the pleasure and the honor of serving with, either in the Marine Corps or in the Delaware National Guard. Soldiers like Major Franklin C. Blackman Jr. His smile could light up any room. And in 2009, Major Blackman passed away at 35 years old, just 8 days after his return from Iraq. Today, Major Franklin C. Blackman Jr., we remember your service. Or like Master Sergeant Mitch McKinney of the Delaware National Guard, whose favorite phrase was, "Too easy, Chief, too easy." Master Sergeant McKinney served his country proudly for 35 years before tragically taking his own life in 2015. Master Sergeant McKinney, today, we remember your service. Or like Sergeant Aaron Sassy Sheets of the Delaware National Guard. Sergeant Sheets was 25 years old and delivering turkeys to families in need. When she stopped to help a disabled vehicle on the side of I-95, she was struck and tragically died. She epitomized what a citizen soldier is, and today, Sergeant Aaron Sassy Sheets, we remember your service. Since 1980, more service members have lost their lives to accidents and suicides than to combat casualties, and today, like every day, we honor them all. If you have a chance to visit Arlington National Cemetery, you will go on a tour, and that tour will take you to the tomb of the unknown soldier. And while you will witness the impressive changing of the guard, make a half left facing movement and look out over the ridge. There you will see an overwhelming number of sections of beautifully aligned headstones. There are thousands of them. These headstones represent the brave Americans who raised their right hand, thus signing a blank check up to the cost of their life to defend our great nation and our flag. This is their legacy, and we must never forget. If you venture into one of the sections, you might find one of 4 different coins on a headstone. A penny signifies that someone has come to visit the grave. A nickel signifies that the coin leaver attended boot camp with the veteran. A dime signifies that the coin leaver served in some capacity with the veteran. And a quarter signifies that the coin leaver was present when that veteran passed. These coins are left as a token from those who have served with these veterans, that they, along with all of us, will never forget their service or their sacrifice. I must admit, though, when I joined the service all those years ago, and 30 years is a very long time, I didn't join because I was concerned about the legacy of service. I was a teenager who had emancipated from foster care, and I was working 3 jobs and going to school. By the time my Marine Corps recruiter came through my high school, I just needed to know that I could get some place to stay, food, and some money for working just one job. As tragic as that sounds, I also want to share that the reason I joined is not the reason I stayed. When I arrived at Parris Island, South Carolina in June, the summertime, I learned about the Battle of Iwo Jima, the Normandy D-Day landings, and later I learned about the Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers, the Women's Army Corps, and the Vietnam-era war heroes. My initial feelings of desperation turned into hope and a profound respect for the legacy of service that I now contribute to daily. I was, and I continue to be empowered by the idea that under our flag, regardless of our background, we could unite for something greater. We must never forget the battles and the sacrifices made to protect the freedoms of our great nation and our Constitution. Now, I want to pause my speech for a second, and I want to recognize any Vietnam-era vets. If you're here, can you wave your hand or stand up for us? Please know that our country is indebted for your service, and you will always have the gratitude of our nation. Thank you so very much for your service. I also want to say thank you to the brave veterans and the veterans organizations here in Delaware, such as the Patriot Riders, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign War. I have had the honor of being at the Bear Cemetery where hundreds of you show up to ensure that unaccompanied veterans are properly buried. You exemplify what it means to never forget. Your service to those who have served is amazing. Thank you so very, very much. Now, in every good speech, there's a challenge. My speech is no different, except I have two. First, I challenge you all to not wait until our veterans are at the Bear Cemetery. There are veterans at the VA hospital in our communities right now who feel like they are forgotten. Go visit and let them share their stories. Secondly, the time from separation from service is one of the most dangerous for our veterans. They are leaving their families. Take the time and stay connected. Let us not forget about them. 22 a day is still too many. And in closing, one thing all of our fallen have in common is that they believed in one flag. It is the flag that I wear on my right shoulder, and the ones whose principles are etched in my soul, and the ones I demonstrate daily. And it is the same one that will drape my casket. And this I will defend. We must never forget to honor our fallen by living our values daily. The values of leadership and duty, respect, selfless service, honor, personal courage, and my very favorite, integrity. Thank you again for coming today to honor the legacy of those who have served. May we carry their memory forward with purpose and gratitude. And I pray that each of you has just an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you, Command Chief Warrant Officer Ernestine Epps, for those inspiring words. Thank you. Thank you. We thank you and your team as a grateful veteran community for honoring our fallen brothers and sisters. It is time for the floral tribute. As I read your organization's names, please stand, if able, and salute to honor our veterans. As a reminder, these salutes are rendered from your place in the audience. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. We're going to start with the American Gold Star Mothers Incorporated. Gold Star Families. '46th President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph Biden. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Lieutenant Governor Kyle Evans Gay. Senator Lisa Blunt Rochester. Secretary of State Padabanda Sanchez, Attorney General Catherine Jennings, Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro, State Auditor Lydia York, members of the General Assembly, Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man, I apologize. Representative Sarah McBride, and the Mayor of Wilmington, John Cornyn. Air Force Sergeants Association, American ex-POWs, American Legion and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware, American Legion and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey, Americans of Polish Descent Culture Society, AMVETS, Association of the United States Army Delaware Chapter, Blue Hen Veterans, Delaware Military Academy, Delaware Medal of Honor Historical Association, Thank you, Paul. Delaware Military Heritage and Education Foundation, Incorporated. Delaware National Guard. Delaware Patriot Guard. Delaware River and Bay Authority. Delaware Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. Delaware Veterans Incorporated. Desert Knights of America Motorcycle Club. Disabled American Veterans and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. Dover Air Force Base. First State Military Academy. First State Military Woman Warriors. Fleet Reserve Association. Freemasons Masonic Riders. Heroes Welcome. Hogs and Heroes of Delaware. Jewish War Veterans, Department of Delaware. Kamikaze Survivors Association. Korean Defense Association. Korean War Veterans Association. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey. Military Officers Association of America. Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary, Grand of Delaware. Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary, Grand of New Jersey. Military Order of the Devil Dog. Military Order of the Purple Heart. Military Order of the World Wars. National Association of Black Veterans, Delaware Chapter. Paralyzed Veterans of America, Colonial Chapter. Pilgrim Baptist Church Veterans Ministry. Purple Heart Riders. Reserve Officers Association of Delaware. Scottish American Military Society First State Camp. Silent Service Motorcycle Club. Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War. United States Air Force. United States Army. United States Coast Guard. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. United States Space Force. United States Submarine Vets Incorporated. U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. U.S. Navy Cruiser Sailors Association. U.S. War Dogs Association Incorporated. U.S. Submarine Veterans Incorporated. Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, Department of Delaware. Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, Department of New Jersey. Vietnam Veterans Motorcycle Club. Vietnam Veterans of America, Delaware. Warrant Officers Association, First State Chapter. Wilmington VA Medical Center. If your organization was not called and you wish to honor our veterans, please stand and salute at this time. Legion of Valor.
About 3 years ago, a number of us gathered on the Delaware River for the christening of the most modern fast-attack nuclear submarine in the Navy, the USS Delaware. And the entire crew sends their regards to you today. USS Delaware.
Thank you, Senator Carper. Any other organizations that wasn't recognized that want to stand? At this time, I'm going to ask the acting director of the OVS, Dennis Lennon, will provide the closing remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dennis Linehan, Acting Director of the Delaware Office of Veteran Services. I sincerely thank you all for joining us at today's memorial ceremony. Standing before this memorial behind me, with the hallowed names etched in stone, we're reminded that this is more than just a place, it's a promise. A promise that we will never forget those who gave their lives in defense of our nation. Here on these sacred grounds, Delaware keeps watch. We remember, we uphold their legacy. Memorial Day is a responsibility we carry, a responsibility to live lives worthy of their sacrifice, to support those who still bear the wounds of war, to never take for granted what so many gave everything to protect. As we honor the fallen, let us also take a moment to honor those who continue their journey of service and sacrifice, our aging heroes. With us today are staff members from the Delaware Veterans Home, where our aging heroes receive the dedicated support that they need in a place that values and understands their service. We must ensure that veterans like those at the Delaware Veterans Home have their stories heard, their dignity preserved, and their care delivered with compassion, respect, and commitment. Let us also recognize the daily sacrifices and quiet strength of those who continue to serve by caring for our veterans, including their families, caregivers, and staff who uphold the values our heroes fought to protect. Our responsibility to those who have returned from service is clear. It's to support, care for, and uplift them. In doing so, we honor the memory of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. As we depart today, let us carry the memory of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, not just in ceremony, but in action, in service, in gratitude, and in unity. Thank you again, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Linehan. At this time, Chaplain Andrew Weiner, will you come forward for the memorial prayer?
Lord, as we go forth with our daily life, let us not forget those who gave their lives. May we be grateful nation and be thankful for their selfless actions and dedication. May we honor them in how we use the freedoms that they secured. May we use our freedom in a manner to create community and celebrate life. May you give our fallen heroes peace. Amen.
Please remain standing as Specialist Carter Stefan leads us singing God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountain to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Specialist Carter Stefan, thank you for sharing your gift of song. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the honor volley and plan of the taps. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you all for attending, and thank you all, our veterans and families, for your service and sacrifice.
Great job. You got a great voice.
Thank you.
chair.
Yes. He still hasn't left yet. That's why we're still on the air.
Yeah, we just got to get our chairs in before
Gotcha,
the table.
gotcha.
Thank you.
They go in the back too, Brad?